today. Jennifer Mooney, Assistant Scout Executive. Scouting provides the opportunity for families to get together to impact the lives of their children. Scouting promotes making moral and ethical choices, instilling lifelong values such as good citizenship, loyalty to family and country, and providing service to our larger community. Girls and boys ages 5 through 20 and their families can join Scouting and begin their journey of long-lasting positive changes. 5 years ago this week, Boy Scouts of America opened participation to include girls locally and nationally. And with that, Jennifer, we're excited to hear about some updates in the Scouts program.
Thank you. I'm a little scared because I don't know what Tom said or not said about me. It's not
all good. It's all good.
It's all good. Okay. Well, and a little personal about me. I've been doing this for Cinco de Mayo will be 21 years that I've been a professional scouter, so I'm celebrating that. And I have 4 children. 3 of them are in Scouting. Well, one is now out. She is an Eagle Scout and also did Girl Scouts. So I'm a Gold Award recipient, so I have a double one, first one in Oregon. And then I got my husband tagged along. He drank the Kool-Aid as a volunteer as well. So I know that some of the volunteer hours get to help with Kiwanis. He was telling me and racking them all up the other day.
He turned in 42 hours for April.
Yeah. So I just want to share a little bit about what Scouting looks like kind of in general, and then a little bit more detail about what Scouting is in Redmond. And Jennifer is our committee chair for our Cub Scout pack, and I work with both. I have kids in both the pack and the troop, and I'll explain what all that means. There's a lot of language that you learn as you go through Scouting. So first of all, how many of you were in Scouting? I know my table mates were. Yeah? Any Girl Scouting count, right? Any Eagle Scouts? Congratulations. Yeah. Anybody have anybody in their family that's in Scouting or has ever been in Scouting? Yeah. Yeah. So as you can see, Scouting impacts us one way or another. And our theme for the last few years has been this leadership is built through grit, growth, and opportunity. And in those 3 words kind of explains what Scouting is right now. And so that's kind of everything we do, we kind of center ourselves around that. These are just some of our local kids having fun Scouting. If you're not familiar, Michelle kind of touched on this. This is our mission. Basically, we're trying to create great individuals to continue to make our communities amazing. Very similar probably to the scholarship winners that you just received. That's our goal, is to make some good kids. And our Scout Oath and Law there, that's the kind of the rules we follow, per se, right? We try to instill these into our kids and our volunteers. And you will, if you go to any meeting on any weekday, you'll hear this every time. They say this when they open up, so it's always a constant reminder. But it's not just that rote memorization. We really dive into these and have them explain what that means to them so they understand what they're saying. And how do we do our program? So our aims are there. I like to hit on the leadership development because on the next slide I'll explain how our programs are organized. But in the older Scout program, it's not a bunch of parents telling the kids what to do. Okay, this week we're going to be doing cooking. This week we're learning first aid. Here's your supplies. No, they run the program. And actually last night, our troop sat down and had their planning meeting for the month. And the young ladies decided what they're going to do for this month. And then my job is to facilitate any supplies or experts they may need to make those happen. So they really run the program. And it's kind of progressive. So as you're with a kindergarten, they can't really lead a meeting, if you can imagine. So we try. So we help do those. But as they grow, they become more independent. And that's our whole goal, is that they will be running and turn into a great citizen. And then you are probably very familiar with the uniforms as one of our methods. Of course, we use the outdoors to our advantage and what that learns. Both, some people like to say we fail safely. So if a scout doesn't plan well on what to bring to a cold weather camp out, like you did in Alaska you were telling me about, they will never forget again to remember to bring stuff for a cold winter camp out. Might also be familiar with advancement. Eagle Scouts is kind of a term that a lot of the community members knows. It's our highest rank achievement that a scout can earn. And it's pretty prestigious in what they have to do to get there. It's a lot of levels of leadership, a lot of skills learned, a lot of badges earned, and it culminates with a community project that they lead. So they have to gather donations, volunteers, run the whole program and make sure it happens from finish to start, or start to finish. We actually have 5 programs, and most people are familiar with only the first 2. So Cub Scouts is the younger kids, so think elementary age, kindergarten through 5th grade, and that's what Jen oversees here in Redmond is our Cub Scout pack. It's the whole family. So a lot of times we'll have activities with extra siblings and all the parents there too. So we want to have that environment where the whole family gets to experience it and understands the program because we are volunteer-based. Scouts BSA program is the older program that most people know. It's 11 to 17, so you're looking at that middle school and high school age group. In that program, all of our programs are co-ed, but in our Scouts BSA, they still have separate units. So the girls meet and the boys meet, but the programmatic piece of it is all the same as far as how they earn things. Venturing is co-ed, and that is more of a high adventure type program. So sometimes what happens is Scouts really get bored with just the normal, I don't know why, but they get the normal everyday earning badges, and they want that next step up. And so we have this venturing program that will go and do more things that are like rock climbing and whitewater rafting. And again, that leadership level goes up too. So in Scouts BSA, we're still really giving them only some parameters to work in. And our job as volunteers is to make sure that they're safe. When you go up to that level, they are figuring out all the safety needs, how they're going to get there, how they're going to raise the money or how much it's going to cost to rent the boats or whatever activity they want to do. They have to do it all, and we're advisors. And so we say, maybe we should think about this, or you need to go call, the Forest Service, make sure it's okay that we are there, things like that. Sea Scouts is a similar program to venturing, but of course it's all on ships. So you learn all of that nautical type skills. And then Exploring is our career-based program. And it's kind of neat. We do a lot with fire departments, police departments, hospitals, vet med, things like that, where we can get high school age kids into a program where they get an opportunity to just kind of test it out, right? So they'll get, when I was in a vet med one when I was a kid, and we saw, we got to see a surgery, we got to see the drug dog, all these different elements of what veterinary medicine could have been, and get them exposed to that to see if that's maybe something they want to do. It's really kind of a neat program. Of course, safety is our #1 priority. When we talk to new families and they ask how the program is put together and if my kid's going to be safe, we're saying, absolutely. Yeah, we have standards. And it's really important for us to make sure people understand that because I don't necessarily want to send my kids off with some stranger if I'm brand new to that. So how do I know that that person is a good person, right? So we do our background checks. We have a training that is used actually by other organizations. It's our youth protection training that every leader has to go through. Make sure that we understand what those rules are. So that's kind of for our leadership piece. But we also want to make sure our kids are safe. So we have a whole guidebook that says, if you're going to rock climb, you need to make sure that your ropes are good and you wear a helmet. I mean, it seems common sense, but sometimes there's things that people think, oh, well, I don't need it, to wear a helmet when I'm, riding a bike or whatever. So we have a kind of a list there for safety too. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, next slide is more general in Redmond, but the area that I serve is this big. So I oversee all the way, Central Oregon, Southern Oregon, and Northern California. We have 11 counties, 1,300 kiddos right now. 46 chartered partners. So our chartered partners are groups like Kiwanis, Rotary, churches. Our local unit is chartered with the Community Presbyterian Church up by the high school there. These are partners that have very similar values to Scouting and kind of adopt our program as their youth program. So we have 46 different ones that we work with. We have 2 camps. One is down by Lake of the Woods in just outside of Klamath Falls, if you happen to know where that is. And the other one is outside of Crescent. It's called Camp McClalla. There are only 2 of us that are full-time staff members taking care of this whole area. And we got a couple part-timers, and we're just ramping up to get our camp staff started. We recruited all of our camp staff, and they are so excited to put on a really good program for our kiddos. So as you can imagine, that's a big area. We rely very heavily on volunteers to make our program run. So here's some of our kiddos. This is my son right here. You're talking about cold weather camping. This was at Freezery. This is called Freezery. And they do like the dog sledding, and if there's enough snow, they'll build the little snow forts and everything. This last year there wasn't enough snow, but that was a couple of years ago. And then our pack did a bike rodeo. What was the park we were in there? Quinn's Park, yeah. So I took a picture of them all listening to the police officer give his little safety spiel before they were off and running on their bikes. What I was really excited about is when I moved here 2 years ago, of course, I met Jen. I'm like, I got to get my kids back involved and find the place. I walked in and they said, well, what grade is your daughter? I said, well, she'll be in 3rd grade, which in our term is called a Bear Scout. And they're like, great, you're the new leader. Because she was the only one at that point. We were very tiny, regrowing. As you can imagine, Scouting is a very social program, so COVID hit us really, really hard. And so we had some diehard Scouters like Jen and a few others that were making it happen. But there was just a lot that had just gone away trying to figure out life with teaching their kids in their houses, things like that. So over the last 2 years, we've basically tripled the size of our pack, which is exciting, and we have a whole new set of volunteers, Jen can attest to this, that are just ready to take on stuff, which is amazing, right? I know in Kiwanis, you just said you're looking for volunteers. By the way, I think Tom is signed up to help with the Vinters. If he's not, I would just put his name on that. But that's impactful, right? Because that helps us grow. My daughter is going to be out of that really soon this next year, and I want to make sure that the rest of the kids continue to have an amazing program. And our troop grew as well. We were able to get into the middle schools last year and put out some flyers, and just all of a sudden, these kids are like, I want to come join us, which is awesome, right? So for us, it's been great to see the revival of our units here. One of your papers on there, this paper here, is kind of these stats that are on there. This is where we ended the year. And I will tell you, these stats are probably incorrect because we pull these off of what we can find from reports. It doesn't mean that everybody reports all the great things they're doing, both with their youth and in the community. So this is some of our kids hiking over last year. It's a lot of miles. 8,800 hours of community service were recorded, and I would say that's probably not even half. I hear reports of all of our units doing, food drives and Christmas tree recycling and helping out at, food pantries, things like that, all sorts of things. This was just, a week ago? 2 weeks ago? This is a couple years we've been doing this, helping the city of Redmond plant trees. And then this is some of our kiddos doing a food drive.
What time of year do you do the food drive?
What's that?
What time of year do you do the food drive?
We've done it traditionally in November and April. And I've heard that we're supposed to be coordinating with you. This is all rumors from Tom, so good morning him.
That'd be great.
Yeah. This is kind of neat. This is a troop out of Bend, but all of our troops in Central Oregon get together in May and do a competition style camp out. And so this is one of them. They had to light a fire with just very minimal stuff, and they get so many points. It's kind of fun. But what I'm showing here is, the ranks that they earn, the merit badges, and how many Eagle Scouts. And out of those Eagle Scouts, out of those Eagle Scouts there were 12 that were female this year. Very exciting. Well, there's our pack and our troop, most of them. This was at Christmas time. They had just gotten a present from Santa, so half of them were probably ripping the paper apart. And then our troop went to Camp Baker, which is on the coast, down by Florence last year. So that was done right before, obviously before, because they're nice and clean. This is our summer camp down in Lake of the Woods. We run a 3-week program for our Cub Scouts, so the younger kids, elementary age kids. And this is some of our amazing staff that entertain them. What I like to tout is that we're nationally accredited. What does that mean? We have a book of standards about this big that we have to follow to make sure the kids are safe. The staff is trained, and we have a quality, high quality program, good food, good customer service, things like that, right? So we continue to hit those marks and make sure that that experience is stellar. And why we do that is because there is research that shows that if we can get them to summer camp, they will be a lifetime scouter. We got to get them over that hump, because sometimes they get bored just sitting in the basement. We have a bunch.
So is that like 3 sessions, 3 1-week sessions then?
Yeah, 3-day sessions.
3-day sessions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's an overnight program. Yeah. We got an amazing staff too. I'm very. Camp is where I started, so my heart's there. So I take a lot of pride in making sure that everybody has the same experience I did as a staff reason too. So Michelle mentioned this, but in February was our 5-year anniversary of the inclusion of females into our program. And I've had some personal experience. I mentioned my daughter was part of that with this program. It's been amazing. There's obviously controversy anytime we change something, but if you talk to those kids, they are some amazing young people, just amazing. This is our local troop, 101. They meet out of Bend, but we're growing so big that I asked for us to have a group out of Redmond, because we had girls traveling from Redmond, from Terrebonne, from Prineville. I said, we need it local. So the American Legion's been nice enough for us to have a local group kind of connected off of that, and we continue to grow. So eventually we're going to be our own troop, which is awesome. So how do we help our communities? We get to try new things. We get to serve others. We're always looking for service opportunities. We work with the church a lot. We do our scouting for food. And this is a picture of teamwork. They're doing a leadership. These are all the new youth leaders for this year for this troop. So they're doing some leadership games, and it was a getaway weekend, so they understand kind of what their roles are. And then these kids are my kids in my den, with my daughter here, playing in the water at Lake of the Woods. It's very, very cold. She jumped in thinking she could swim. Yeah, I'm going to do this. And quickly realized she doesn't know how to swim. But I was very proud of her for even trying, right? And we create that atmosphere in scouting to make it a place where you can try new things and learn from it. Definitely grit. Grit and perseverance has been kind of, like I said earlier, is our motto for the last few years. And I've witnessed that with not only my kids, but several kids. We did a luncheon last week, and we had a couple of a young man and a young woman there, and we asked them what grit means to them. And teaching, they were talking about, Anson was talking about burnt pancakes, I think. And so you burn pancakes once, you never burn them again. And learning through that and having the perseverance to continue on and learn from your mistakes. This happens to be, I did not participate, but this happens to be our polar bear swim at summer camp. So you can imagine 6:30 in the morning in the middle of July. It's still probably not that warm because it's, 3,100 feet elevation or something, I think. Yeah, and almost the whole camp was out there. And they sing this silly song and they have to go in a whole circle. So definitely some grit and perseverance to make it through there. All right, so how can you get involved? lots of different ways. And I'm not here to say, hey, come volunteer for me, please. Just a lot of ways to share a scouting program. I would love it if you would just share with anybody you know that scouting is alive and well. And maybe you have a kid, a grandkid, a neighbor that would want to check our program out. And I'm happy to coordinate with you with the local Redmond group, or if anywhere, in the area that I serve, or Portland. I know lots of people still in Portland, so happy to share that information. If you feel like you want to help more, there's things like, I put it on there, the Axe event coming up. This is our new fundraiser. It's kind of fun. Make it a date night with your significant other, and we're raising money to get to play. Raising money for scouting. But also just sharing like our opportunities. I know I've talked to Barb, I've talked to Tom a lot about partnerships with Kiwanis and other groups in town, that we can just help volunteer ourselves so that we have that connection, and they can see that scouting is a resource for the community as well, because we love to give back. So that was just got one more there. If you want to see our website, or beascout.org, so if anybody interested in joining, it's an easier one to remember. It's beascout.org. You just put your zip code in, and then you can find our units. And it'll actually connect you with Jen or myself to give more information. So, yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Talk a little bit about your fundraisers. I think you just had one recently.
We did, yeah.
And when is it? What is it? How does it work?
Okay. So in April, last couple of years, we've had a luncheon fundraiser, and we have some guest speakers that come. We fill up the tables. This year, we happen to have Brad Tilden. If you don't know him, he's the former CEO of Alaska Airlines. He's also an Eagle Scout, and he's the board president for the national level BSA. But he's also local. He lives in Bend. We had two young people speak as well and tell us their stories, which is, I think, almost more inspirational when you hear it right from their mouths of how the experience, helps them. And we raised $30,000 for Central Oregon Scouting, so that was really exciting to get that support. The Axe fundraiser is our next one in June. So just kind of, like I said, for an evening of throwing some axes and raising money for scouts. And then our last one for the year is the sporting clays over at Redmond Rod Gun Club. So another opportunity to just come play, shoot, and the money all goes towards scouting. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I tell you how odd it sounds like come out and have a fun-filled evening with throwing axes?
Throwing axes and drinking.
Yeah.
Beer. And it's safe.
It requires a couple of beers. Yeah, right.
So how many in Redmond? How many kilos in Redmond did you say? Just over 50?
Yeah, so we have 36, is that right? Yeah,
Yep.
36 in the Cub Scout pack and 17 in the troop. Yeah, currently. Actually, we just
Yeah, we
just
got
got a new one this week.
Yeah, and
Two?
Yeah, two.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 38. I
Yeah.
stand corrected.
That's like very recent.
What's your age group again? What's the oldest?
Kindergarten up to age 18
Age 18.
is our main
And you
program.
have, I think I saw in there, you have some that are in that older group.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we've got 17 of those kiddos.
Yeah, let me ask a question that I'm sure you've never heard before. When you combined the two groups, the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, was it a net loss or a net add?
So let me correct you on that.
What's that?
We are still two separate organizations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Girl Scouts is still their separate organization. We just included girls into the Boy Scouts of America program. So a little terminology for you. Boy Scouts of America is an overarching program that everybody knows, right?
Right.
And then our different groups that I showed you there, we
Right.
changed the name from Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts to Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA to kind of get
Okay.
away from that. So it's two separate organizations. I don't know if it's a net loss or anything. I think it fits different people.
Yeah.
Just like Boy Scouts does. There's different, and that's what I love about the Merit Badge program. You've got people that are more camping and outdoorsy, and there's more people that are like a bookworm type person. So from my daughter's experience, because she did both, she got different she got different values out of both of them, right? So a lot of more craft, fun, and these are her words, not mine. Craft, fun, money management. She did the cookie sales in Girl Scouts, and some really good friends from that program. And the skills that she learned in getting her eagle were more life skills, as the tying the knots, public speaking, organizing herself for like a project, things like that. So it really just kind of more of an experience that you're looking for.
Are boys in Girl Scouts too? Or
No.
Okay.
Is the money that you raised at that fundraiser, is that for all of Central Oregon, or is that just Redmond group?
It's all of Central Oregon.
All of Central
Yeah. It goes into the big bucket, but it helps all of the group to make sure that all the programs continue to run. So training leaders, recruitment flyers and banners, and me.
Okay.
Honestly, if I'm being honest, yeah. But all those, making sure camps are well stocked and
Sure.
repairs and things like that. Kind of some of that behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say, just kind of touch on what Ron was talking about from personal experience, that so 8 years ago when I was a Scoutmaster, they were sending out all these polls and questionnaires about how we felt about females joining scouting, and it was just all over the map and the board at the time. And I personally definitely was in favor of it. My daughter was a Girl Scout where my wife was her leader, and she was constantly asking me to do more events for the girls like the boys were doing, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm committed to this over here, I can't do that. So when the girls did join Boy Scouts, scouting, I'm excited for the programs personally. I would probably go out on a limb and say that females will exceed boys in reaching Eagle Scout over a time period. Just from personal experience at camporees where the boys and girls competed troops against each other. Girls' brains, they grow faster, mature faster than boys do. Boys are at the camporees just have fun and laugh and giggle and don't always take it seriously, where girls are there to win. Girls are there to learn. And like when you were mentioning that your daughter was, like, I started to cry that she was a double award winner. That's amazing. I mean, I know not everybody understands that, but just the commitment, and in 5 years.
Yeah, I will tell you that my witnessing of my daughter being in that program showcased what all those girls can do, right? And it's interesting because that first group, that first generation, had a very small time window that they could get it done before their 18th birthday. And the boys have grown up through this whole program. And I think the girls may catch up. Like my youngest will now be able to go through the whole thing. She's a fourth grader. We call it the Weebelo, another word you might not know. But it's interesting to watch them because they are very charged to get this done and figure it out and stand on their own 2 feet. So it's really fun to watch them.
I saw the Tiger Scouts being our first in my community of boys and girls together, and just how much fun they were having. It was exciting to see them all grow.
Yeah. On the younger level, they're all in class together during the day, so it really didn't make a difference. My daughter's still the only one, my youngest one, in her den.
And I guess one more thing I want to say that some of you might not know, scouting around the world is boys and girls already. They've always been that way. It was just us that were separate.
Thank you very much. And can I have both Jennifers up? Jennifers, we have a little token of our appreciation for you guys taking some time today. It's from our local artist, Brian Watson. It's just a little token.
Oh,
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
And Tom doesn't have one, so.
Yeah, you'd have to be a speaker.
Thank you very much.
We were just talking about fire stuff.
Before we adjourn, if you are a board member and have a few moments to stay. Ron is going to give us a little update about the reactivation committee in Bend and what that looks like. So if you have time, that's great. If not, I understand. It's last minute. And in honor of our speakers, I have over and over again explained that the purpose of the Scouts is to build men and women as citizens endowed with the 3 H's, namely health, happiness, and helpfulness. The man or woman who succeeds in developing these 3 attributes has secured the main steps to success in this life. Founder Lord Robert Bowden Powell. And with that,